Welcome to the Subjective Professor podcast, where we reject coercion and hypocrisy. This is episode 222, and we're going to talk about fakes tonight. Fake candidates, fake data, fake money. It's all fake. And so I got to say, I love X, formerly known as Twitter. I've said it before, but I used to get a lot of my information by through my news feed on Facebook. But then they changed the way the feed is set up, and I can't even get information from my friends anymore unless I look them up individually. And I can't even choose what I want to see on my Facebook feed simply. Maybe there's a way I haven't bothered to look it up because they're constantly changing it. But X allows me to get information pretty quickly. Uh, I can see different perspectives, which are subject to comparison with still other perspectives, and then I get to decide what I want to believe, what I want to think is probably closer to the truth. Try to decide what is plausible or even what's possible. And those choices are up to the person. It's not sort of what do you call it? Curated. It's not moderated. It's not manipulated, at least in the sense of mass media, corporate media. And so the person gets to decide. So I was worried a little bit. I was a little concerned, not that it really mattered, but it was just sort of like, how can so many people not see through all the fakery that is Kamala Harris, And then I see that she's kind of dropping in the polls, and maybe people can figure out that, she's not a person that you should be voting for because it's obvious that she is not qualified for this position, just like Biden wasn't qualified 4 years ago. And it took most of America 4 years to figure out that he suffers from severe acute dementia. But it was obvious 4 years ago. And for people to say, well, it wasn't so obvious 4 years ago, I mean, there's something wrong with them. And even now, with people propping up Kamala Harris, how can you not see that this person is an utter moron? That a lot of the video clips that are put up by these mass media, corporate media sites are edited, heavily edited. Anyway, not that so, and the problem, of course, is Donald Trump because he should be coming out hard with good information, and he just continues to fail on that front. So once he secured RFK's support, Tulsi Gabbard's support, then now he reverts back to his old bombastic, exaggerate everything to the point of it being not true. It just bothers me so much. He should be using his platform, his influence to educate people. But of course, he can't because he himself is not educated on so many of these issues, particularly like when it comes to his record on the jabs, on the economy, on even what tariffs are. And it's just so frustrating for him to say all these things, which gets the mindless followers of Trump to applaud and cheer him when in fact the policies that he's pushing are extremely detrimental and bad for the country and the economy. Speaking of the economy, so let's get down to my list of fakes. So fake economy, it's not a strong economy. All this fakery of a strong economy is created by fudged and manipulated numbers on inflation and employment. Fake employment numbers where 800,000 jobs disappear, right? So this a couple months ago, the Bureau of Labor Statistics said, oh, yeah, we thought all these jobs were created last year. Yeah, they weren't. And so the adjustment was 800,000. 800,000 jobs just disappeared. And so if you work those numbers back into all of the job reports over the past year, yeah, this is not a strong economy. And then month to month, they have job reports, and people only seem to pay attention to the initial announced estimate, and they forget about or don't even bother to look at the revised numbers 1 or 2 months later, and they're always revised down. I think with one exception, 1 month was an exception, but then who knows if it was an exception if they revise and say 800,000 of those jobs never really existed. And so every month they're basically revising the jobs numbers down. Then we got fake inflation, right? It's a lot higher. And they have these fake inflation numbers through the manipulation of the basket of goods that they use to calculate the inflation, right? But of course, inflation is increase of the money supply. It's money printing, or as is popular to be said today, government spending. It's government spending which is inflation. And so the more the government spends on anything, whether it's climate change, war, domestic welfare, guns and butter, whatever, it is increasing inflation. And anyone who is not wealthy feels the rise in the prices, and right now, so far, I'm still able to keep ahead, but I don't know for how much longer, especially if the inflation keeps up in this way. We got fake money, right? The money that we have is not really money. It's fake money, right? So the dollars are fiat, right? It's not real money. Real money are commodity. Real money is a commodity, right? And so over the history, you can see that what was used for money was a commodity in early America because there were very little coinage here in America. People had to use tobacco. And interestingly enough, if you go to prison, the currency is can sometimes be cigarettes, right? So it is a commodity. It is something that can be used. And so people trade it in order, like currency. And then we got fake candidates. We got fake candidates talking about fake democracy, right? Democracy, the Democrat candidate is picked by the donor class, and the one who was primaried was pushed out. I mean, how is this democracy, and how are the candidates running for election legitimate candidates, right? They're puppets who have nothing to do without, who have nothing, the candidates who are nothing without their drugs and the teleprompters. And even the one who doesn't use a teleprompter spouts out economic nonsense all of the time. It's like all of the things that he could have said, all of the things that Trump could prepare the people for, he doesn't do it. It's just so frustrating, right? Uh, he is now in conversation with Elon Musk, who keeps posting Friedman videos all the time. Can you please watch them? Can you please listen? He should be killing it. Dave Smith is right. He should be killing it right now, but he just doesn't seem to be able to close the deal. And if he loses the election, it's all on him. He knows what he's up against. I mean, his whole administration betrayed him and stabbed him in the back, right? So he should know better. But no, he just keeps going right back to his own vomit and he eats it up all over again. And there's just no hope. It's hard for me to hope. Clearly Trump is better than Harris, but not that by not that ugh, by not that much. Then we got fake government with fake government workers, right? The polls show that the people don't want war, but what does our fake government keep doing? Keep poking the bear, the Russian bear, the Iranian bear, the Chinese, tiger, whatever they're called, right? No one wants war except the government, right? Like 70% of America doesn't want a war, but of course the government is going to keep pushing that war, keep putting US troops in harm's way so they can say, oh, look, they killed Americans. So now we have to go to war. And I'll say it again. I think that someone was supposed to have been made unalive. And if that was successful, we would already be at war. The draft would already be put into action, and you'll see a lot of young people going into battle where they are facing a high probability of getting wiped out. The government tells us what we want. right? It ignores what we demand and tells us, no, 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 what you want is nuclear war, right? People want peace, less inflation. But instead, what do? They inflate the employment numbers, right? The government went on a huge hiring spree a couple months ago to make it seem like our economy is booming, that people are hiring all these workers. So you got fake government with fake workers. And then a fake election, right? There are more and more reports of ballots magically appearing, right? Illegals can vote, right? We just read today in class about the post-Civil War struggle for former slaves, right? Freedmen, of how they weren't even allowed to vote. But now today, fast forward to, oh yeah, illegals can vote, right? Canceling out people who have citizenship, people who earn the right to vote here in the United States. Oh no, it doesn't matter anymore. No ID needed when you need an ID to even just enter a big box store. Come on. Fake election, right? And then you got fake war with a fake military. And you might say, oh, what do you mean fake war? Real people are dying. Yeah. Look, this is not a knock against most of the people who are in the military, right? I've talked about this before, right? It's the foreign policy that sucks, right? So we got fake war with a fake military, big budgets for expensive weapons that cannot compete against what other countries have, right? We read in the Civil War, World War One, absolute slaughter. You have obsolete weapons, obsolete strategy against modern weapons and different strategy, right? I've talked about it in different episodes, right? Iran is showing Israel, look, we got drones. We're going to overwhelm you with drones, low tech, cheap drones, which you are going to use your multi-million dollar missiles to shoot down. And once you've exhausted all of your missiles, yeah, that's when we send even more missiles, hypersonic missiles, and there is no way you are going to be able to stop them. And you'll go bankrupt in the process. And so it's almost like they want, uh, you know, there are people in the government, the State Department, who want to go nuclear right away. It's just so crazy. And then you got fake news with fake information, right? The corporate media always trying to spin it this way or that way. Objectivity has nothing to do with it. You don't have reporters anymore. You have actors pretending to be reporters, know nothings, who have no desire to do any kind of investigation, right? And anyone who does have any kind of investigative desire get fired, like Tucker Carlson. Then you got fake rights, right? People saying this is my right, right? These are all positive rights, positive in the sense that you require someone else to do the work in order for you to have what you think is your right. This is not the same as negative rights, which we have by virtue of being a human being. No one has to do anything for us to have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association. No one has to do anything. We have those. Those are negative rights. No one has to do anything for us to have it. Positive rights, like free healthcare. You have to force someone to give you healthcare, work for free. But of course, people say, oh, but the government will pay for it. Where do you think the government gets its money, right? It steals it from us first. And so today, these days I'm going over the Bill of Rights with my middle school students, right, to get them to realize what are their rights and how the government is violating all of these rights left and right. And we talked about posse comitatus, right? How it is illegal to use the military, the U.S. Army, for example, here on domestic soil. That's why we have a National Guard. But of course, there's a DoD directive that came out, which found a backdoor, a loophole for local law enforcement to call on the military to back them up, which is a clear setup for things that are happening in the future. Then we got virtue signaling, which is fakery on its face. People pretending to be self-righteous and outraged over certain issues, which they were taught as the new morality, right? And so there's a look, I got the most proper virtues, and so all of you people have to bow before me. Fake. It's fakery on its face. And then you got fake outrage to go along with it. Learned conditioned responses. Like I told you that in the race classes that I would teach, people would sign up and they would say, tell me who I'm supposed to hate. Tell me how I'm supposed to hate them. Tell me what I'm supposed to do when I find someone who's a racist, fake outrage, which is fostered and supported by fake reactions, responses on the part of many people. Then you got fake medicine, fake jabs, right? Especially RFK Jr. talking about that with the fake food that's out there, right? Not nutritious food that keeps us healthy, but rather you got all this food supported by all this fake scholarship to get us obese and to trash our health. You got fake music, fake movies, fake pictures, deep fakes, all of that stuff, right? So you don't know what's so today my students were saying, what is it? There's a video of Harris doing Wakanda Forever. And I Googled it. I was like, I didn't see that. And I Googled it. It turned out it's a deep fake, right? Everything's fake, right? So you don't even know what's real or not anymore. You got these junior high kids thinking every good fake video is actually real, right? You got fake expertise, people telling you how to social distance, and you find out later it's all made up, right? Oh, I'm an expert as determined how. And used to talk about this, right? Expertise. How do you know someone is an expert? Because they got the right credentials. Well, where did the credentials come from? How do you, like, even a lot of the students, right? They just skate by to get their degree, but now all of a sudden they have credentials, right? How do you know that these experts didn't fake it in the same way? You got fake athletes, right? We talked about Caitlin Clark the other day. And so you got all these people. And so today there are all these videos popping up on my feed about how she's going to go to Europe, as she's contemplating it now, I guess. And then all these other players in the WNBA are really upset, like, hey, I'm better than her. I've been playing for a lot longer. Where's my contract? Where's my offer? Well, because no one wants you. Okay. You're an athlete, but you're just such an horrible person. No one wants you, right? And then you got fake religion. What do I mean by fake religion? Fake climate change information, Just Stop Oil, BLM, Antifa, all of that fake, fake, fake religion. The list is endless, and I got a little carried away there. I'm really sorry. I normally don't do that. Um, but it's just so maddening to see all of this fake and so many people being duped by all of it. And I'm just like, I'm beside myself. I'm just out of my mind going crazy. Like, how can you not see how all of this is fake? If one is not on the lookout, if one is not naturally curious or rebellious or counter discourse, counter culture, whatever you want to say, contrarian, whatever, how would you ever know what's fake? But my own personal process, which I've shared several times already, is you need to have a good principle. And the principle that I use is what I start off every podcast with, which is basically no hypocrisy, no coercion. If you can sniff out the hypocrisy, if you can sniff out the coercion, then it's a clear sign that you're probably on the wrong road. This will not lead you to a solution, but another problem, which resolves nothing. Good ideas rise to the top, right? And that's why I began the episode talking about X. We need to have that information spread. We need to have dialogue. We need to have conversations. We need to have an exchange of ideas so we can suss out what are the bad ideas and separate them from the good ideas. All of us, we got to keep pushing the envelope of knowledge and perspective. You guys keep pushing, keep asking the questions. Even the method that I shared with everyone before, which is that all you have to do is ask the question why. If someone comes at you, gets in your face, and says, we got to do this, all you have to do is say, why? That sounds really great, but why? And if they give you an answer, you just respond again. That sounds awesome, but why? And you force them to have to explain themselves, to force them to reveal that they have no knowledge and that their perspective is extremely narrow. We have to find that's the way I do it, but everyone has to find their own way to wake people up, to wake up the people they care about, because it's just things are just getting so crazy now. And I just wonder, and I just don't know enough people. Like, I don't know farmers yet. Where am I going to get my food when all the supply chains are cut off? Like when the longshoreman strike happened, and I think I mentioned this before, but someone in my church realized that the place where he normally goes to get certain kind of products for his business, they were empty. They had nothing. And so he drove around for 7 hours trying to find the supplies that he needed. And I didn't realize that. But can you imagine if anything like that happens? There's tremendous supply chain disruption. There's going to be no food in the grocery. It is going to be pandemonium. And of course, they're not going to go after the people who are actually responsible for all those problems, the politicians. They're going to come after each other. And so we need to wake people up. We need to get people to realize that there is more to see here for the future, for our children, for the people that we love. And that's it for today. Sorry if it's a little bit not typical for what I'm normally doing, but I'll talk to you next time.